We need to talk about Porsches. Porsches. We all know them and love them. They're sleek, fast, and incredibly cool to look at. But what if there was a place where you can see all that sleekness and speed in one single place, in one single building? That's what I'm here for. In this video, I'll be giving you a complete tour of the Porsche Museum located in Stuttgart, Germany. Sit back, relax, fasten your seatbelts, and watch as I speed you through the Porsche Museum. As you begin to enter the building, you'll notice that there's a statue of 3 Porsche 911s. Why is that one of the coolest things I've ever seen? As I was walking up the escalator and literally had a heart attack from the excitement, I was greeted by the world's first electric car. Yes, you heard me right. In the 1890s, Porsche developed the very first electric car, and it looks like this. This car is upon one of the oldest and coolest things to look at in this museum. This is the very first Porsche 356 ever made. It's powered by a flat-4 engine that makes 80 horsepower. It allows a 0 to 60 time of 15 seconds with a top speed of 120 miles per hour. This Volkswagen-based 356 later kick-started their success. Later into production, different body styles were beginning to be made. Something else that changed was the horsepower. They changed from an 80 horsepower flat-4 engine to a 140 horsepower flat-4 engine. These cars became popular enough in Germany that they were sometimes converted into police cars, just like this one. Later in production, a handful of speedsters were made, just like this one, and they are very rare to see. Modified versions of the Porsche 356's engine were sometimes used in race cars, just like this Porsche 718 RS 60 Spider. This car had a 160 horsepower Boxer 4 engine. While the 0 to 60 time is unknown to me, I know that the top speed of this car is 225 kilometers per hour. Pretty good for a 60s race car. This is the incredibly rare and legendary Porsche 550A Spider. It has a 110 horsepower Boxer 4 engine, allowing a 0 to 60 time of over 9 seconds and a top speed of 140 miles per hour. You may be wondering why a tractor is in a Porsche museum. Well, I'll tell you why. This is actually a Porsche tractor. Porsche, before they began building cars, actually built tractors, just like this one. Before building the Porsche 911, Porsche came out with this, the 754 T7. It was Porsche's loaner prototype for those who wanted to look into buying their new Porsche 911. It made 120 horsepower from a flat-4 engine and allowed a top speed of 120 miles per hour. This is the very same Porsche 911 901 generation debuted at the Frankfurt Motor Show in 1963. This car is a 130 horsepower flat-6 engine, allowing a 0 to 60 time of 9.1 seconds with a top speed of 135 miles per hour. Due to the high level of danger convertibles produced, Porsche had a solution. They simply added a roll bar to their convertible model, and they called it the Targa. This car debuted in 1965 and had the same stats as the 1963 Porsche 911. This is the Porsche 908-03 Spider. It has a flat 8 engine making 350 horsepower, allowing a 0 to 60 time of 4.2 seconds with a top speed of 171 miles per hour. These are incredibly impressive stats for 1968. This is the Porsche 904. It had a 180 horsepower flat-4. While 180 horsepower might not sound like a lot, this car was incredibly light, which is why it had a 0 to 60 time of less than 6 seconds with a top speed of 160 miles per hour. These are the Porsche 917s. They are among the fastest and most powerful race cars ever to be built by Porsche. They have horsepowers ranging from 500 to 1500 horsepower from its twin-turbocharged flat-12 engine. Thanks to this massive amount of horsepower, this car was able to achieve a 0 to 60 time of an absolutely impressive 2.1 seconds. Best yet, in 1970, the car was theoretically able to achieve a top speed of 248 miles per hour. Just in comparison, 30 years later, the Bugatti Veyron was able to achieve a top speed of 256 miles per hour. It's crazy that a car like this is comparable to a Bugatti Veyron. Sure, the cars may not look that pretty, as you can see in this example of the Porsche 917, but they are really, really rare to see, and it's basically every car lover's dream to see this car. This is a Porsche 911 Carrera RS race car. It was powered by the biggest Boxer 6 engine ever to be fitted in a Porsche 911 race car. It made 310 horsepower, sprinting the car to 0 to 60 in an impressive 5.5 seconds with a top speed of 168 miles per hour. Later, for downforce, they eventually added their famous whale tail spoiler. To be honest, the whale tail wing is one of the best looking wings I've ever seen on any car, ever. This is the incredibly fast, rare, and legendary Porsche 935/78 Moby Dick. It's powered by a turbocharged flat-six engine that makes over 700 horsepower. It does 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds with a top speed of 228 miles per hour. These are incredibly hard to believe stats for a car that was made in the 1970s. Isn't that crazy?